Well, we're doing pretty well as we're going through the book of Philippians. I'm really pretty excited about how far we've gotten. We've made it to chapter 4, and I thought it would be good just to do a really short recap of where we've been on the journey of joy as we do life together. So, if you're really wondering where we've been, this is the road we've been on. Chapter 1 of the book of Philippians is about adopting the right attitude. The attitude of praise for Christ. Finding ways to exalt Christ in everything so that we can have joy. So turn to a neighbor and say joy. Joy. So I want you to get used to that because, quite frankly, this book is about joy. So in chapter 1, we adopt the right attitude and the right axis, the right focus. And secondly, we're in chapter 2, we're going to maintain. Not only do we have to adopt the attitude, but we have to maintain the attitude, creating a passion to please Christ. Because pleasing Christ brings us joy. Turn to a neighbor and say, it really does bring joy. See, that was a lot of things to say. So that brings us to chapter 3, which means we have to pursue the right attitude so that we can have joy, creating a passion to pursue after, follow after, walk along with Christ. Pursuing a deeper relationship with Christ, because pursuing that deeper relationship with Christ, turn to a neighbor and tell them, brings you joy. All right. That brings us to chapter 4, which is where we've gotten, and we're going to be here this week, and then next week we're just having our normal Scandinavian Fest communion service, but if you're not going to the worship service at 9 o'clock over there, we really do expect you to be here at 10:30, unless you're working the booth. And I'll check with Barbara to see who's working the booth. There we go. So the only people that have an excuse for not being here next Sunday morning, right there. If you're not those two over there, we expect you right here. So, here we go. Number 4. And this is where we're going to be this week, skip a week, and then the next 2 weeks we'll finish the book of Philippians. And they all have to deal with the same theme. And that is the theme of practicing the right actions. So, my image for us, and how many of you have imaginations? I know the kids up there in the back have great imaginations. I've looked and looked and looked, and I need to find somebody who can draw this for me. So if anybody in the room can draw this for me, well, you're a week late, but I'd love to have the drawing anyway, is of a Conestoga wagon. Now, that's that Oregon Trail wagon. Now, picture in your mind a Conestoga wagon. You read the Wednesday's Word. You had this practice. It's kind of long. It's boxy. It's got that white tarp over the top that's going to keep you dry. Yeah, right?
You like that?
Yeah, I like that one.
You want this one?
No, it's too little. People couldn't see it.
How big do you want?
But you got the idea. I need it as a digital drawing. So, and every time you've ever seen one of those, they have 2, 4, or 6 oxen going forward, or horses, or mules, or donkeys. The best number was to have 6 and to have 2 extras. That's how you were supposed to start the Oregon Trail, just so you know. But bad things happen, and that's why you have extras. Now, picture for a moment that wagon with those 6 oxen pulling it. And how are they going? They always go forward. Always. So, sometimes they can go in circles, but that's coming. Now take your brain, and this is going to be one of those things that your brain isn't going to want to do this. Your brain is going to say, no, we can't do that. Your brain is going to say, no, 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 because what I'm about to do is ask you to do something visually wrong. It's not a moral issue. It's just visually. So, picture that same wagon with 4 oxen going forward and 2 on the back going the other way. How's that going to work? Not well. I guarantee you that the one with the 4 is going to win. They will win. They will drag the other 2 slowly. Because the 2 on the other end are going to think, we're supposed to be going this way. And that's our text for today. That brings us to Philippians chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. Paul says, stand firm in the Lord. And that's the easy part. So we're all told, stand firm. How are we called to live and stand? How are we supposed to be? Firm. Say stand firm.
Stand firm.
All right, so we're supposed to stand firm. And I was going to get one of the Bauer boys to come down here and show you how to stand firm, but we're kind of running out of time. So just imagine trying to push Ben over when he's standing like this. I'll bet you can't do it. Maybe if 2 or 3 of you ganged up on him, maybe. But I'll bet he could stand a long time, right? You could stand a long time? Unless maybe I pushed you over, because that could be kind of fun. But no, we won't do that today. This is not WWF on Monday nights. Paul says to the church, stand firm in the knowledge of Christ. Stand firm in the presence of Christ. Stand firm as a believer in Christ. Don't let anything get in the way of standing firm for Jesus. And we were right there with him. Yes, we'll stand firm. We're going to stand here and not let anything push us over, get us out of the way, distract us. We've got our feet planted, our body is kind of lowered to the ground, and we're ready to go forward with Jesus. And then Paul writes verse 2, I plead with Euodia and Syntyche to get their act together. Well, that's not what it says, but that's what it says. He says they need to come to agreement. They need to quit messing around and stand firm with Jesus. They need to quit being divided. They need to quit being divisive. Because here's how it is. See, Euodia and Syntyche, for whatever reason it is, have come to a disagreement. Any of you ever have disagreements with people? So, you know what a disagreement is. In fact, in church, oftentimes, our denomination says, we can agree to disagree. And I'm going to tell you something. Any of you ever hear that phrase, agree to disagree? That's not biblical. That's not from Jesus. It's not from Paul. It's from us because we can't seem to get our act together. And it's not just us in this room's fault. It goes all the way back to Barton Stone and Alexander Campbell. They agreed to disagree over things that they didn't think were really essential, and the only thing they thought that was really essential was Jesus. So, as long as we keep our eye on Jesus and everything we do is focused on Jesus, then we're supposed to be able to have disagreements. And it'd be okay. As long as we stand firm in Jesus. So here's the problem. Here's the problem. You see, as soon as Euodia and Syntyche decided they were going to disagree, and we don't even know, it was probably over the color of the carpet, or over what they were serving for dinner one day at the potluck. It was probably over something much more important. But did it matter? It really didn't matter. They disagreed with each other. They were divided. And do you know what happens when two people in the church get divided?
Other people join.
They put in an aisle in the church. Why do you think there's an aisle in most churches? It's so the people who are on this side are on this side, and the people who are on this side are on this side. Happens all the time. We choose up sides. I like Jimmy Sue better than I like Betty Sue. No, we don't have a Betty Sue or a Jimmy Sue. I tried to pick good Texas names.
I like everybody here.
You know, we like the way this side does it or that side. See, we get into this, and as soon as two people are divided, then 4 people end up divided, or 6 people, or 8 people, or 12 people, or 20 people. And guess what happens then? Then you have 4 oxen going this way, and 2 oxen going this way. And how did we decide that worked?
Not very well.
You see, Paul says to Euodia and Syntyche, get your act together because you're hurting the church. Quit being divided. Quit messing up. And you see, we want to say it's okay to have differences of opinion. And I think it probably is okay to have a difference of opinion about the color of the carpet. Who cares if it's blue, green, red, purple? I want hardwood. See, but that doesn't change the direction of the church, unless, of course, you were in one church that I served. In one church that I served, actually before I got there, they put in new carpet. It was really nice. It was green. It was dark green. They chose dark green for really important reasons, and all the women in here know why. Because when you spill grape juice on a dark green carpet, it doesn't really show up. It hides the stain. I thought it was a brilliant thought when they told me why they chose the carpet. I had been there about a whole month when we had to have a board meeting. When you have to have a board meeting, it's bad usually. I'm just telling you that. And they wanted to call a special board meeting because we weren't treating the carpet right. Now you think you're laughing and you're saying, oh, the preacher's pulling my leg, but no. That church fought over the carpet because they served communion, and you know, it was a church with a bunch of little old ladies in it. And I don't know if you've noticed, when little old ladies, and the communion trays are gone, and little old men and children hold communion cups, you know those little cups that we pass? They do this. And when this happens, what happens?
It spills.
It spills. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like here, we've got some bread on the floor today. We'll have to clean that up. But we had a board meeting to make it against the rules for children to come have communion. I about fell over. And I told them, if you do, I quit. I'd only been there a month and a half, so they didn't. But you know what? That fight kept coming back. Do you know how long that fight lasted? I was there for 2.5 years. That fight lasted 2 years. Do you know what happened? I didn't leave. The people who donated the carpet moved to Florida. Want to know what I said? Thank you, Jesus. Because they were dividing the church. Because there were people who remembered back when they were a kid and mama didn't let you take communion, so it was bad and wrong. And I know some of you in this room probably think it's wrong for the kids to have communion, but there's not one place in Scripture that says children shouldn't have communion. In fact, every time the children show up, it's Jesus saying, let the children come unto me. And if they can't come to dinner,
Then they're not going to do.
you get it? You get it. So, Paul's telling these two women, get your act together because the results are devastating. When churches are divided, they don't get things done. And Euodia and Syntyche were divided, and they weren't getting anything done. Paul says, you're my favorite church. Get it together. I've been bragging on you. Get it together. I mean, he does. He brags on the Philippians and Corinthians and Ephesians and Galatians. And now he's having to tell the Philippians, get it together. Now the good news is Paul was in prison, so he's getting this report third or fourth hand. So by the time it got to Paul, it was really big. You know how that works, right? So Paul, he does what Paul does best. He gets a hold of a friend and says, hey, you go and you tell Euodia and Syntyche, I said, get your act together. Come to agreement. Don't be fighting. It's not good for the church. He says, and you go and you tell them, and if they still don't get their act together, tell them again. You see, because you can't have that. Paul directs these two ladies to be unified in their thinking. And you see, when there's division in the house, there can't be unified thinking. So today, the message is really clear to us, don't be divided. And when there is division, work it out. And let there be peace. Because only when there's peace is there unity. And only when there's unity is there real and lasting and wonderful joy. Amen.
Yeah.
I want to invite you to our closing song. I figured this was really appropriate for this sermon. They'll know us by our love. We know this song. We put the words up there for you anyway. But you see, this is a song about how we're going to live outside of these walls. This is a song about how we're going to respond to hateful actions in our community. This is a song about our faith causing us to live differently. If you're ready to give Jesus your life, be baptized, and become part of the family, we invite you to come forward while we sing the song. If you've decided this is where you want your membership to be, and you've already been baptized, we invite you to come forward or to talk to me after worship. Let's stand together as we sing, they'll know us by our love.
We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. And we pray that all unity may one day be restored. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. We will walk with each other, we will walk each other we will walk hand in hand, and together we'll spread the news that God is in our land. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. We will work with each other, we will work side by side. We will work with each other, we will work side by side. And we'll guard each man's dignity and save each man's pride. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. All praise to the Father, from whom all things come. And all praise to Christ Jesus, His only Son. And all praise to the Spirit who makes us one. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love.
If you didn't have a chance to finish your note, make sure that I get it for the family today. And if you need a note to fill out, we have extras, I think. Let's pray. Gracious God, as we leave this place, let us go forward together. Let us go forward unified. Let us go forward hand in hand, side by side, so that we can change the world we live in. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.